Welcome back to What She Said. Okay, as y'all can see, I'm channeling Coach Crime. Welcome back to What She Said. It is Monday night. I have a special show planned for you. We're going to take a look back. So I'll give everybody a chance to join us. Welcome. Welcome to Monday night. Okay, so I'm going to play some music. We're going to give everybody a chance to gather. This is our intro. Give everybody a chance to gather. Welcome, welcome. I see somebody has joined us.
Welcome,
Welcome.
fam. It's Survive. Break it down. Talking sports, hard and hustle. Wear the crown. Subscribe to the journey. Don't sleep on the grind. Hit the like button. Come on, don't be blind.
All right, let's see who's in here. Yo, welcome, 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 Zoe. Welcome, welcome. It is Monday night.
Don't be stingy now.
The great show planned for Colorado Buff fans. We're going to have some fun.
We bring the vibes.
So I decided to channel Coach Prime with the bandana. I should have had on some blenders. Maybe they need to sponsor me. I don't know. All right. So we'll give people a chance to join us, and we're going to talk about what it is we got going on tonight.
From hoops to the griddle, we cover it all. Champions rise and
welcome everybody. Welcome. I see people joining. All right. We'll give it a few seconds for everybody to join.
Let's meet where the passion begins. Hit that like, don't be stingy now. Join the movement, let's show them how. What she said, we bring the vibes. Together we rose, reaching higher and higher.
All right, we're almost there. All right, there's some of us in here. Y'all get ready, get ready, get ready. That's the New Orleans in me. All right. All right, so here's what we're gonna do tonight. Let me go ahead and turn the music down and we can get going. All right, so we're playing, it's not even a game. First, we're going to take a look back into the season for the Buffs last year. Now, as you can see on the screen, I actually have a listing of the games that Colorado played last year. And of course, the score is there, but I don't really care about the score. This is not about the game that we won versus the game that we lost. These are the games that Colorado played in 2024. And tonight, this could be part one of a three-part series. We're going to rank Colorado's season, the games last year, say from best to worst. We probably could guess what the worst game was, but not necessarily. There's a few contenders in here. I had the opportunity to watch some of our games from last year. I'm well versed on Baylor because I watched it so many times. So if it was 12 games, I think we played 13 games. We were 9-4 last year. So we're going to have the worst being number 12 and the absolute best game of the season, regardless if we won or lost, but I don't see how any losing games could be the best. What was the best game? Like the best game that we played last year. So that's what we're getting ready to do. So first, what we're going to do is take a peek into last year, because I might need to refresh your memory. Now, I can't show you game film, right? I may have figured out a way to do that, but not tonight. So I have a video I put together, and it's going to be like a flash. You know how people say, I've seen my life flash before me? Okay, so you're getting ready to see the 2024 season flash before your eyes, okay? So let's keep this in mind. We're basically talking about the games that they played last year, some of the plays you might recall. So this is just to jog your memory so we can start ranking from 13 to 0, or I guess from 13 to 1. 1 being the absolute best game. All right. So y'all know, let's talk about who we played last year. We played first we played North Dakota State, right? We played North Dakota State. Then let's see. Let me see. Let me put it in front of me. Hold on one second. I have to put the list in front of me. Colorado 2024 record. All right. Okay, so we started with, I don't know why it always shows us the last game, but okay, here I'm going back to the first game. All right, let me go down. All right, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. All right, so we started with who? North Dakota State, right? That was game, hold on, let me see, that was game 1. No, that's 23. We go to 24. All right. All right. North Dakota State. We won that game. Not that that matters. We won that game, but it was the first game of the season. So see if you can refresh your memory about North Dakota State. Okay. Then we played, y'all should remember, we played Nebraska. Okay. We played Nebraska. That was game 2. We lost that game 28-10. Then we played, it wasn't funny at the time. Then we played Colorado State. It was a rematch from year 1. We need to go back and rank 2023, but no, let's just stay away from 2023 and focus on ranking the best games from Colorado from best to worst for 2024, regardless of win or lose. So it was Colorado State. Then we played Baylor, UCF, and Kansas State, and Arizona, then Cincinnati, then Texas Tech, then Utah, and then Kansas, and then Oklahoma State, and then the Alamo Bowl. All right, so I need you to jog your memory, start thinking. Now, first, you might want to start with the most memorable games for yourself. Like, what do you think was the most memorable game? I know I have my most memorable game, but I'm not going to say that that was the absolute best game. I mean, the absolute best game, best defined as it was exciting, exhilarating. Chances are we won. But in my opinion, what else makes it best? Because we have some good games. And then we have some really, really good games. And then there was the best game that we played. All right. So chat, I'm going to need y'all to go ahead and chime in. Hey, Jerry, how you doing? I'm going to need y'all to go ahead and chime in. Okay, let's start with the most memorable game. For me, the most memorable game was Baylor. Drop your most memorable game from Colorado from 2024 into the chat. All right. So I'm going to start. Mine was Baylor. Let's see. Baylor. Now, that's the most memorable. That's not necessarily the best game. Baylor, most memorable. Let's see. Okay. Memorable. All right. So Baylor was the most memorable. Let's see. Does anybody have anything in here yet? Baylor was the most memorable. Jerry. Okay. All right, Jerry. All right. So Jerry said Baylor was the most memorable for him too. Okay. Anybody else? Memorable. All right. So I had to just abbreviate. All right. So for me, Baylor is the most memorable, but that doesn't mean Baylor was the best game. All right. So in looking at our schedule, who we played, our record, now ended up 9-4, 13 games. All right. Let's go with the worst game. It should be games that we lost, and we lost 4 games. Okay. Let's see. So let's just out of these 4 games, because I'm sorry, I don't think any of our winning games were our worst games. So out of the 4 games that we lost, which one is the worst? The absolute worst. And we're talking about 2024. 2024. Oh Lord. Let's see. We lost to BYU. We can rank this one number 13, the absolute worst game that we played out of BYU, Kansas, Kansas State, and Nebraska. Which one of those, BYU, Kansas, Kansas State, or Nebraska, was the absolute worst game? Let me think. I should have got the little timer sound. Let me think. The absolute worst game out of those four, BYU, Baylor. No, I think Nebraska. I think Nebraska had to be the absolute worst game that we played. But BYU is running a close tie. And then there was Kansas. Ooh, that's kind of hard. It's really a three-way tie. I mean, honestly, can you say that BYU was worse than Nebraska or Kansas was worse than BYU? What do y'all think? Oh, somebody say Oregon. 22. We got to be in 2024. We'll go do last year next. Since y'all want to talk about 2023, we'll come back to that. This might be a 3-part series. I said, and I actually thought about this today. So today we're ranking the teams. All right. We're ranking the worst games. Okay. The absolute worst. Jerry said BYU. 22 say Oregon. 22, I need you to pick the absolute worst game in 2024. D. Johnson said Nebraska. I think I'm going to be with you on that. 22 said the first TCU game was the best. Come into 2024, 22. Baylor, that's me. Nebraska. Okay. All right. So out of Nebraska and BYU. Okay. So we narrowed it down to 2. Okay. The absolute worst game, meaning number 13 on the list. It seems to be a tie between BYU and Nebraska. Oh, wait. I have 2 people saying Nebraska and 1 person saying BYU. Hey, Queen T. Hey, what she said. My most memorable game was Texas Tech. Okay. Now I need your absolute worst game for 2024 out of Nebraska, Kansas, Kansas State, and BYU. We're trying to label number 13, the absolute worst game. And then we're going to work our way up to number 1, the best game. Let's see. So far, it looks like Nebraska's winning. Let's see. It said a bowl game. D. Johnson, are you saying the bowl game is the worst one, BYU? Queen T, what's your absolute worst game from 2024 season, from last season? And then, so it's out of BYU and Nebraska. That's what it's coming down to. So, Queen T, I need you to break the tie. Or I got to break it. But I want to get what you were thinking. Let me know, Queen T, if you could let us know. It's looking like it might be Nebraska. Yeah, D. Johnson said Nebraska. 22 said Nebraska. I say Nebraska as well. Even though, I don't know. I don't know. Nebraska and BYU were kind of close when you think about it. Let me look at the score. Let's see if the score would decide. I'm waiting on Queen T to see if she's going to tell us. I need somebody to break it. Queen T, what's your absolute word? Okay, Daniel said BYU. Oh, it's tied up again. Oh, Lord. Okay, when y'all come into the chat, welcome. We are ranking our 2024 season from the best games to the worst, or the worst games to the best. Started with number 13. And we lost 4 games. So we're going to start with the 4 games that we lost. And we're trying to figure out, of the 4 losses, which one was the worst. BYU, Nebraska, Kansas, and Kansas State. So far, it seems to be a tie between BYU and Nebraska. Queen T said Kansas. God damn, that ain't helping. Okay. Queen T said Kansas. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and break the tie. It's either Nebraska or Baylor. Let me look at the score. Hold on 1 second. I feel like it was Nebraska. But Baylor, see, BYU and Nebraska were essentially the same game. I don't even know if y'all noticed that. It was essentially the same game. What happened in both games? Our quarterback. If I could sue the O-line on the right side for negligence, I would. In both games. Hey. Wait, what she said? Okay, Herman, maybe you could break the tie. we are ranking Colorado's season last year from the worst games to the absolute best. We played 13 games. We went 9-4. We lost 4 games. So we're talking about, we already discussed the most memorable game. If you're just now joining us, feel free to type my most memorable game equals whatever it is. But right now we're trying to fill in number 13. What was the absolute worst game Colorado had from the 2024 season out of the 4 losses being Kansas, Kansas State, BYU, and Nebraska? Right now it's a toss-up between Nebraska and BYU. And I said I was gonna look at the score. Now I know BYU was bad, but I don't know if y'all remember. Nebraska was really bad. Okay, I'm gonna say it's BYU, and here's why. We had no fight in the BYU game. I don't recall us trying to come back. Do y'all recall us trying to come back? I don't recall us trying to come back. At least the Nebraska game was only the second game of the season, even though I feel like some folks was negligent and allowed our QB to be assaulted like that. It was only the second game of the season. We did try to come back after the half. I'm going to go with BYU. The last game we played, the bowl game. Oh, but you know what? Kansas was a horrible game. I just don't think y'all remember. I don't think y'all remember. But you know what? I'm going to give it to BYU. BYU is the absolute worst game. So I'm just type BYU number 13. Let's see. Number 13. So let's see. Worst game. BYU worst game. Okay. So that's number 13. And it was the last game that we played. So, okay. Okay. So let's move on. All right. I would. Honestly, if I thought I could sue the right side of the O-line for negligence, I would. I've been watching film. So I planned this, right? And I had the opportunity to go back and watch games. 2 things popped out. Travis is a dog, number 1. And he should play both ways in the NFL. That came through. And let me insert something else. Will Shepherd will get drafted. I watched him today. Shador was running for his life most of the time. Poor thing. LaJohntay is a dog. Preston Hodge is a dog. DJ McKinney a dog. We're going to miss Nakai Hill-Green. Chidozie is a dog. I'm thankful we still have Keaton Wade. I saw, what's his name? Number 28. Ben out there doing his thing. I watched Travis on offense and defense. He was good. I thought he was good. Shiloh, we gonna miss Shiloh. Our running backs, Micah was, in my opinion, the most effective at one point in the season. Then it became Augustave. Dallin Hayden had burst. But that could be he didn't have a choice in the matter because he doesn't draw up the plays. So I'm not knocking anybody. But going back and looking at multiple games, BYU and Nebraska, honestly, they were just both really bad games. But one thing about Nebraska, and this is why I want to sue people for negligence, because who we played in the first half from Nebraska is the same people we played in the second half. And I think the way it was summed up after the season was over, some people couldn't handle the bright lights. Well, I don't think it was that. I think it was exactly what it was in the BYU game. They were trying to punish our QB. And I don't mean the opponent. I mean some people that played for CU on the right side. I have made videos about it, and I have no problems with saying it. And they're not even with the school no more. So there you go. So we're going to give it to BYU being the absolute worst game that we played. Nebraska, we tried to come back. BYU, we had no fight. None. It was almost like Kansas. Kansas and BYU were bad games, but BYU was the worst. And maybe because I drove there from Texas, it made it worse. I don't know. So let's go upward. It says CU look outmatched against. What did you say, Jerry? CU what? CU looked like they were outmatched against BYU. Okay. All right. I agree with that. I agree. I mean, honestly, I feel like most of the issues that we had in the Alamo Bowl game was on our end. And some people, you remember I did a video. I asked fans after BYU fans were apologizing to me. I'm so sorry y'all lost. I was like, oh, that's nice. But I remember asking people, what do you think happened? And some people said too much San Antonio, too much Riverwalk. Like, okay, it was our first bowl game. We weren't used to this. They was having a good time. So we were kind of lackadaisical. I mean, I saw some of the same issues. Now, don't get me wrong. The Nebraska game and the BYU game for the right side of the O-line was kind of the same. But what made the bowl game worse is that other people were lackadaisical. It was like, oh, we off the clock. We just out here playing football. This doesn't count. That's the way we played. Plus the Nebraska game. So, you know. So, yeah, okay, we agree. All right, so now we have 3 bad games left. We have 3 bad games left. Now, if you want to pick a winning game and put it in one of the worst game categories, we're up to number 12. Let's know your thoughts. Okay, so let's move on. So the number 12 game of the worst game of the season, the second worst game of the season. Should we just say it's Nebraska since we came down with the tie from Nebraska and BYU, and then Nebraska be the second worst team? Or do we want to reconsider and weigh Nebraska, Kansas, and Kansas State? So we got BYU is the worst. What's the second worst game that we played? Let me know your thoughts. I think the second worst game that we played, the Kansas game, was pretty bad. And I don't know why it was bad. I don't necessarily believe that they were better than us. I mean, they were playing dirty. We get that. But on CU side, something happened toward the end of the year. And it affected the Kansas game, but not the Oklahoma State game, but it affected the bowl game. Does that make any sense? And the question is, now we beat Oklahoma State, 52-0 or something maddening like that. Travis had his best. That was his Heisman clinching game. I would say that was probably his best game of 2024. He might have a different game because he had some very good plays. So who do y'all think is the second worst game that we played last year? We got BYU is the worst. We got 3 more games that we lost: Nebraska, Kansas, and Kansas State. What would y'all say is the second worst game that we lost? Kansas is the second worst. Okay. So, okay, let me ask you this, Jerry. Since you say Kansas is the second worst, and we're not talking about score, we're just talking about the game itself being brutal. And we're talking out of Kansas, Kansas State, and Nebraska. So you think Kansas was worse than Nebraska? That's what I'm hearing. You think Kansas was worse than Nebraska? Let's see. Let's see. All right, I might go with that. Let me look at the score. Let's see. I gotta look. All right. Kansas is the second worst. Kiel said, melancholy Monday. Hey, family, the beginning of the week. How's everybody doing? We're doing well. We're not playing the game. We're ranking Colorado's season last year from worst to best games. We already ranked number 13. The absolute worst game was the last game we played. The consensus is BYU. So now we're on the second worst game. Kansas State, Kansas, or Nebraska. Kiel said Kansas State. Daniel said Daniel said Nebraska, and Jerry said Kansas. Okay, so I need somebody to break the tie because y'all said 3 different schools. I thought somebody was gonna say. It says since the BYU game may have been involved betrayal, that may be the worst. Okay, I see. I told you I wasn't the only one that thought that. What kind of betrayal did you see, Herman? Let me know your thoughts. Feel free to type it in the chat because I'm pretty sure I've touched on it already. You missed it when I said if I could sue the right side of the O-line for negligence, I would have. Okay, it said yes, they ran for nearly 200 yards. Oh, okay. All right. Okay, y'all. So let's wrap this number 12 up. We have a vote for Kansas as the second worst game, or Kansas State or Nebraska? Uh-oh. I need somebody to break the tie. Can somebody come along and break the tie? Kansas, Kansas State, or Nebraska? I just need one more person to vote. It can't be me. And I need one more person to say who it is so we could just pick the worst game. Because right now it's a tie. It's a kind of a split. Oh, let's see. Hey, fam. Hey, Jackie. Okay. We are on number 12, ranking the worst games of the 2024 season that Colorado played. Right now, we have a three-way tie between Kansas, Kansas State, and Nebraska. I need another person to vote so we can break the tie. I need somebody to put into the comments what they believe was the second worst game so that we can rank number 12. All right. And then over to the right, what you're seeing, this is me trying to jog your memory with some plays from the season. You're going to see Travis in a lot of for obvious reasons. Like I said, Travis is a beast. To go back and watch this, it was just really fun to watch him play again. So, all right, I'm going to choose. I'm going to say Kansas. Wait. I said betrayal because of what you said about the O-line today. Oh, yeah. No, yeah, you're right about that. Okay. Herman, did you vote? I need you to vote. Can you vote on what you believe the absolute second worst loss that we had of the season? I need a tiebreaker. And I was really telling y'all that the Nebraska game and the BYU game were the same, mixed with a few more complexities that lingered from the Kansas game. So I don't know what happened. Something around that Kansas game happened. I don't know what it was. I felt like maybe somebody got in their feelings. I didn't know if it was on the coach's side and the team just kind of picked it up and was like the hell with it. Someone right. That's all I know. And it was a shame because that was the first time they played, and that I can recall, in an NFL stadium in this season. And with the guys going to the league, I was like, surely this is like motivation. But that was, and then look at when Shedeur got sacked, how nobody kind of helped. And then Jordan Seaton kind of got in and went against somebody on the other side. But that was one of the issues that happened last year. And that's why I said what I said about the right side of the O-line being intentionally, willfully negligent. Because when your DC, your defensive coordinator, has to make the statement to the team, don't touch the merchandise, is the motto that we live by. Shedeur was the merchandise. Don't touch Shedeur. They were supposed to be protecting Shedeur. And at that Kansas game, if you go back and look at it, where were they? So I'm like, oh, y'all don't like your QB. Oh, okay. So how you expect to get to the next level if you don't protect your QB? And again, this didn't come from the left side. This came from the right side. And we saw it technically 3 times. You saw it first in the Nebraska game, and Shedeur was probably sacked almost 6 to 8 times before damn near the half. Where does that happen at? And the crazy part is other teams can pick up on this. They can know, and I'm sure they talked about it, because when we played in year 1 against UCLA, the coach actually told Shedeur, you need to talk, y'all need to talk because your O-line is letting these people tee off on you. And that lingered over until this year. And I didn't even know we had anybody on our O-line from last year. So when we started seeing those snap fluffles, that's what I called them this year, when the center just kept mis-snapping the ball, I said, okay, he don't want to do whatever it is that he been asked to do. He don't want to do it no more. So he tapped out. And I was fine with that. But the problem was we had an O-line coach who should have just made adjustments. But his coaching style was rudimentary. He just wanted to yell and scream. And you could actually hear him saying, it's not him, it's y'all. I'm like, okay, this ain't the conversation y'all need to be having on the O-line, on the side. And the problem is he didn't make adjustments. And then after that, you can hear Coach Prime saying in one of the team meetings, talking to coaches, if you don't make adjustments, I will. And I look right at that dude, and he had this look on his face. So, I'm not shocked that he's not here. I was shocked that he probably knew Coach Prime personally, because it was hard to tell if he was intentionally not making adjustments, But I really just think he wasn't a good coach. And when he left the university, I think another Colorado commentator who played in the NFL touched on that, and that former coach got in his feelings. I didn't say nothing else because it wasn't nothing else to say, but I mean, you're not a good coach. They clearly negligent and not protecting the QB. The DC got to call it out, you know? And I just felt bad for Shedeur because, you know, he out here, you know, trying to win games, and these dudes over here, they ain't even making business decisions. You're not even in a position to make a business decision other than playing well so we can see it. These guys were comfortable going on record with poor performances. And there were people who were squawking back at analytics companies like PFF because they were like, clearly y'all not watching the same game we watching. Because these guys did horribly. And the sad part is the UCF game was one of the most complete games that we actually played. And even in that game, you could see where the right side of the O-line was just causing penalties that absolutely didn't make no sense. And it was almost like it was a signal to start some type of buffoonery because that's what happened next. This one draw a penalty, the one over here draw a penalty, and they all on the same side of the O-line. And then I wasn't surprised when somebody just went MIA because I think what started to happen is within Colorado, they started to sense these dudes throwing games. So I stand by what I said. If I could have sued the right side of the O-line for negligence against Shedeur, I would have. Go watch the Baylor game. Let's see. The O-line in Nebraska game sold out. Yep, they sure did. Nebraska was it. 10 points and the offense couldn't get the run game going. Opens your throw game. Yep, 20%. So our QBR. Yeah, I understood the defense was trying to get it together. I understood that. And I don't know why they didn't have it together in the first half. And again, I'm telling you, the Nebraska game has the same complexities as the bowl game. Negligence on the right side with some other things going on. In Nebraska, it's exactly what James that just said it. There were some things happening with the defense. They were going too late. And then also, too, in the Nebraska game, and the crazy part is I never got the attention that the defense was selling. I just got the attention at some point they just wasn't keeping up. Same thing with the Kansas. The defense was not who we expected them to be because they had become elite. But Kansas, they couldn't get it together. The bowl game, they could not get it together. And in Nebraska, they got it together, but it was late. And I think the argument in Nebraska was they were playing man versus zone, and they should have been playing zone. So they were still trying to get it together. But if we had a competent O-line across the board, and I remember that O-line coach saying, I need effort from everybody. I'm like, if you know you're not getting effort from everybody, will you take them out? Like, what do we have to do? Like, what? You can't yell at people and make them do what they're supposed to do. Maybe they're not giving you effort intentionally. Has that thought not crossed your mind? And if you think they are that incompetent that they're not giving you effort, then there need to be consequences to that. And you have a depth chart. Use it. But then it got to the point where some of the guys on the right side of O-line either hopped in the portal, went MIA, and they was literally almost down to one person who wasn't doing what they were supposed to be doing. And it was like it was forcing Coach Prime to have to play this person. It was almost like a tug of war and a power struggle on the right side of the O-line, whether you realize it or not. And I'm just glad that's over with. And the coach is gone, and those players, for the most part, I do believe that they are gone. And these young guys coming in, they don't have any prejudice that they're playing with. You can look at these guys, they just want to win. They're not coming in here feeling some type of way about the QB being wealthy or having NIL deals that they don't have. They're not filled with jealousy. They just want to play football and they want to win and they want to go to the NFL. That's it. You can see it. That's why the chemistry, that's why the team melded so fast together. These guys want to win. They know you can win at CU. You don't think some of these guys who watched CU play before could see that there were some personality issues on the field? Of course you could. Of course you could. And those are the guys that at the end of the season that Coach Prime talked about. Some of y'all going to come to me and say, hey, Coach, can you talk to so-and-so for me? He said the time for you to get it together is during the season. not for you to come to me after the season, after you didn't do what I've been saying you should do. Practice with intention and then ball out on the field. So the second worst game, it seems like right now, is all right, Nebraska. Nebraska is the second worst game. Okay, so number 12. So I'm gonna just put 12, Nebraska. All right. So that's what I'm gonna put down because that's what it is. All right, we got number 11. So now y'all have to decide. There's only 2 losses left: Kansas versus Kansas State. So 12, we have. Worst game. Okay, Nebraska. All right. So 2 games, 2 more losses left. Then we get to the fun part. Okay. The Kansas and the Kansas State game. I mean, for me, I already know what it is, but I don't want to be the deciding factor. Okay. So let's recap. 13, absolute worst game, BYU. Number 12, second worst game, Nebraska. Number 11, the third worst game that we played, which was a loss. Is it Kansas State or Kansas? What do y'all have to say? It says Super Bowl showed people stacking the run. Barkley will open the throw. Dotson, Brown, and Smith went crazy. Oh, you talking about, yeah, our run game should be good this year. I think it'll be good. I think it'll be good. It said the players look smaller this year. Oh, you talking about on defense? Oh, you talking about on defense, D. Johnson? And D. Johnson said Kansas is the third worst loss that we incurred this season. I'm gonna agree with that. Anybody else agree with Kansas, or do you think it's Kansas State when it comes to the losses? The worst being the Alamo Bowl, the BYU, then Nebraska, and the third worst loss that we suffered, Kansas State or Kansas. D. Johnson says Kansas. I'm thinking Kansas too. Let's see what people are saying in the chat. Welcome. There's 14 of us in here. Hit the likes. 14. All right. Today might be part 1 of a part 3 series. I kind of already been thinking about this. We are ranking our season. Not necessarily by wins and losses. We're ranking them by the absolute worst losses all the way up to the best game that we had. We're on number 11. We've already ranked Alamo Bowl as the worst. And then we ranked Nebraska as the second worst. Now we're talking about the third worst loss that we suffered. We have 1 vote for Kansas. And let's see. Jerry, Kansas State. Okay, y'all keep tying it up. Kansas versus Kansas State. I need another person to vote so we can break this tie and we can make number 11. Who we got? Good evening, Nia. Hey, Nia. Nia, we need a tiebreaker. We're ranking the season. Kansas because the defense was horrible. Okay, Kansas had our number. Okay, we're going with Kansas. All right, Jerry, sorry you lost this round. How you doing, Nia? Okay, Kansas had our number. All right, we're going to go with that. So, number 11. Let's see. Third worst loss. Let's see. Okay. Kansas. Okay. Third worst loss, Kansas. All right. Okay, moving on to number 10. Number 10 should be easy. We only had 4 losses. We had the Alamo Bowl versus BYU, Nebraska at number 12, 13, Kansas. So to me, the worst game, the 4th worst game, we only lost 4 games, has to be Kansas State. Oh, that's okay. We're just glad you came to join us. Thank you, Nia. Okay, so the 4th worst loss, it has to be Kansas State. It said Kansas State. James said Kansas State because, if not mistaken, was sacked only 1 time and had a QBR of 95. I am remembering correctly. It could have been. Now, I will say this: the Kansas State game wasn't about that. So yeah, you probably right. that didn't involve a lot of sex. We got cheated out of that game. That game is one where there was either it was pass interference was called and it was not pass interference, or I can't remember which way it went, but I thought it had something to do with Preston Hodge and DJ McKinney. I can't remember, but it involved pass interference. And I think I know what it was. All right. I did a video on that game. I broke down the last 2 minutes of that game. Because we talked, two things happened. The refs either called pass interference or he didn't call pass interference. And what that did is we couldn't get the first down. And we didn't get the first down, something like that. Then on the 3rd and 8 or whatever, we either threw the ball and people said we should have ran it. And I think Dallin Hayden was the person who was running the ball. That wasn't working out. So Shedeur launched the bomb. I think it went up. It was supposed to be a catch, but they said it was pass interference. Something, I can't remember. But we got cheated out of that game. I'm going to have to go back and look at it. But we got cheated out of that game. Anybody else remember Kansas? It says, we had Kansas State until their quarterback went on. And it seems we let up and the officials made some bad calls. Yes. Now, this is facts. That's what I'm talking about. It was pass interference. And I remember afterwards, the announcers of the games were talking about the inconsistency of the referees and pass interference when it comes to Colorado. There were people who were upset after that game because we weren't getting good calls and pass interference was an issue. And I think I did a video at the time talking about how the refs had discretion when it comes to holding, taunting, and pass interference. And those are the calls. Pass interference for sure was one. I felt like they were weaponizing against us. And then the other call they had weaponized against us was taunting. Does anybody remember that touchdown that was called back from Jimmy Horn Jr., his touchdown, and they called it back because they say he threw up the peace sign? Boy, that sparked a serious debate. That sparked one heck of a debate. All right, because the ref could have done what? He could have attached the penalty on to the PAT, and that's what generally happens. And I watched the game afterwards that's what happened, but it wasn't taunting. But the point is, the penalty didn't have to be assessed right there. They didn't have to call back his touchdown. All right, so Kansas State was a game. Colorado should have won. The refs were cheated. There you go, see? All right, so Kansas State definitely is the fourth worst. The fourth worst game that we played because we got cheated. And I remember kind of being in a YouTube live stream from the Kansas State team. And I'll never forget, because I don't know if y'all know, but after we beat Nebraska, everybody was trying to beat us the same way. But it wasn't working. I think when we got to Baylor, I think the tide had turned. But Shedeur got sacked 8 times in that Baylor game. And he got tired of that. And he said he saw number 10 coming to his right. And he knew who was supposed to be holding number 10. And he rolled out to the left. And y'all know how that story goes. All right. So number 10. Taunting was a pathetic call. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So now we have 10. All right. Fort Worth game, Kansas State. But what I was saying was in the live stream, they said we believe we have an advantage over Colorado. And when a few teams said that. And it seemed like when they said that, that's when Shedeur would get sacked a lot. So I don't know, but I don't think he got sacked a lot in that game. But yeah, after the Nebraska game, everybody thought they had our number, and they all tried to beat us the same way. I was like, well, you're gonna need some help from the right side of the O-line for that to happen. So, and we went on to win 9 games. Okay, so fourth worst game, Kansas State. All right, now let's go to the fun. All right, so we actually won 9 games. We had a good season. Now that we got the bad games out the way, let's talk about the games that we won. Okay, let's see here. We defeated Oklahoma State 52-0. All right. So now you need to start thinking about the best games leading up to number one. So 9-1. We defeated Oklahoma State 52-0. We defeated Utah. People thought we were going to lose that game. 49-24. So some people made some money off that game. Texas Tech, they thought we were going to lose that game. 41-27. Cincinnati, 34-23. Arizona, 34-7. We went on a good stretch. Kansas State, we lost that. UCF, 21-48. Boy, y'all know we were supposed to lose that game by 13 points. And Baylor, 38-31. And Colorado State, 28-9. And y'all know in that game, Travis scored a touchdown on that guy, number 11, Blackburn, that with that dirty hit from the year before and 23. I watched that game today. I said, so Trav got his revenge by getting a touchdown on Blackburn. Yep, sure did. And then we beat North Dakota State 31-26. All right, so you've heard the teams that we beat. All right, so this might be a little difficult. You might need to separate who your absolute best team is and then just come back and put them in here. All right. So out of North Dakota State, Colorado State, Baylor, UCF, Arizona, Cincinnati, Texas Tech, and Utah. That's going to be hard. Okay. Let me look again. Let me think. Texas Tech need to be up there at the top. Baylor is up there at the top. UCF is right up there at the top. So that's 3. So there's 6 more at the bottom. All right, y'all. Let me see what y'all got. What happened to Oregon? That was last year. That was in 23. Now, Oregon was in 2023. Welcome, everybody. Hit the like button, please. I see 15 people in here. Please hit the like button. Hopefully, there's 15 likes or more when we wrap up. All right. Anybody have any thoughts? So, 9 games that we won. Y'all want to start from the best to the worst? Maybe that's better to do it that way. All right. That's what we're going to do. I'm calling an audible. Okay. What was the best game that we played last year? I need the best game that we played last year. Anybody have any thoughts? All right. The best game we played last year. All right, let's see who we have. Texas Tech with those darn tacos flying everywhere. You know what I think that we won that game, but yeah, Texas Tech. Okay, I like. Is that Nia? Are you saying that Texas Tech it was the best game we played last year? That was definitely memorable for sure. Let's see. D Johnson said UCF was a good one. UCF was a very good game. UCF, I say, was the most complete game we played. I think that's my number one. Let me know what y'all's number one is. UCF is the best. Okay, we got 3 people. Nia, do you want to weigh in on the best, or was Texas Tech your best? Kia, okay, UCF. All right, everybody's saying UCF. Okay, all right. Okay, UCF. So we're going to go with the best game that we played was UCF. What's the second best game? That ought to be easy. Best game. UCF. All right. So it's a consensus. UCF was our best game. I went back and watched that game today. That was a really good game. That was the most complete game we played, and we annihilated those people. And they just knew that their run game and their oversized QB was going to annihilate us. We were supposed to lose that game. And afterwards, the quarterback caught flack for showing compliments, being complimentary of Shedeur. And if I'm not mistaken, I think they benched him. Jefferson, I think they benched him. Sure did. So yeah, UCF was a good game. I can't say enough about that game. And that's probably gonna lead into the part 2 and the part 3. So y'all might need to go back and watch these games because we're gonna have part 3 of the series. So today is part 1. We're ranking the teams. And then tomorrow is gonna be part 2. And then I know for sure part 3 is trivia. So you're gonna have to kind of know what game did Will Shepherd score his first touchdown? What game did Shiloh score a pick 6? Stuff like that. So y'all gonna need to go back and watch the games. They on YouTube. Okay, tomorrow, I'm gonna tell you about tomorrow later. All right, so UCF was the absolute best game. All right, so let's go. Okay, Nia, thank you. And D Johnson said Oklahoma. Is that for your second best game, D Johnson? Baylor. Okay, Baylor was a very competitive game. All right, so we're working on the second best game. I don't want to tell y'all my vote because I'm not trying to sway anybody. So I'm going to go ahead and let y'all vote on the second best game of the season. UCF takes the trophy in a figurative sense as being the best game that we played all last year, and I agree. So now we're trying to tally up the votes to see what was the second best game. And who knows that I'm dressed like Coach Prime? I hope y'all notice. I hope y'all notice. But I wear this jersey all the time. But, you know, this was the accessory for today. Second best game. Baylor. Anybody else have any thoughts outside of Baylor? Don't forget, there's Arizona, Oklahoma State, Cincinnati, and Texas Tech, and North Dakota State. Okay. So right now, Baylor seems to be leading for the second best game that we have played. All right, I just give it another second so everybody can get in their votes as to who was the second best game. Okay, we shall see. All right. Did anybody else weigh in yet? Kiel, Atlanta said Baylor. Kiel said Baylor. Anybody else before we go? Second best game of the season. Now, Baylor, obviously, I think definitely deserves to be up there. Don't forget Texas Tech. Don't forget Cincinnati, Arizona, North Dakota State, Utah, and Oklahoma State. Second best, Oklahoma State. That's what D. Johnson said. All right, so I have the majority right now is Baylor. And then D. Johnson is saying the second best game is Oklahoma State. Ooh, it's tied. Kiel said, 22 said it's Oklahoma State as well. Ooh, I need a tiebreaker. I need somebody to break the tie. Second best game is out of Baylor and Oklahoma State. Okay, I need somebody to break the tie. This is fun. All right. I'm just waiting. All right. So let's see. So on the screen, what you see are clips from the game. Jerry broke the tie. 3-2. It's Baylor. All right. So Baylor is the second best game of the season. It's definitely the most memorable game. So now it's the second best game. All right. Way to go. Baylor. Boy, they just knew they were going to win that game. Boy, that was something else. They just knew they were going to win that game. I was so proud of Shedeur in that game. Hold on. How did I do this? Okay, I put third best game, but it's second. Second best game. I made a mistake, but I don't think I could delete it. Okay, so second best game is Baylor. Okay, Baylor, second best game. Okay, so for me, the Baylor game is the most memorable. For obvious reasons. This game was tied up. Baylor knew they had this game. And Baylor's strategy was to be nice. They were so nice. Putting up billboards, I think, like to welcome us or something, or that we welcome them or something. But I was like, okay, see this niceness, you gotta watch this. They were coming in here, the good Christian school. They was all nice. We just want to play competitive. They was trying to take us down. And number 10 for Baylor was having his way with number 67 for Colorado. And Shedeur figured it out. And on that last play, Shedeur saw number 10, who probably is Preston Hodges' size, versus our number 67. And number 10 managed to get away from number 67. And Shedeur saw him coming full steam, and that's when he rolled out to the left through the ball, LaJohntay caught it. But the dynamic duo, which is what Shedeur and Travis were called last season, the dynamic duo actually won that game. Shedeur to LaJohntay tied it up, but Travis Hunter, who obviously has played a lot of ball outside, knew exactly what to do. And shout out to the dog and the leader, number 7, Sharkman. Y'all know Cameron Silver-Craig, who put Trav in position and told him where to go. And Trav knew what to do after he got his assignment. And it was all she wrote. When I tell y'all the last 2 minutes of the Baylor game, if I can show it here, I promise y'all, that is so exciting. And to look at these kids' faces when Shedeur was trying. Remember, Shedeur threw a pass to somebody and they didn't catch it. So he had to throw another pass. And I feel like it was Shedeur to Will Shepherd. And then it ended up Shedeur to LaJohntay. And the kids' faces, they just knew we lost. They couldn't even stand to look. Some of them were looking away. They was like this. They was like, oh my God, we're not going to win this. And then when they tied it up, it was so crazy. Them kids, when they ran on the field, it was so funny because the refs were trying to figure out when Travis knocked the ball out. They were trying to figure out at the time with all this technology where exactly the ball was knocked out at. But the commentators was like, I had a clear view of it. I don't need to look at it again. Them kids, they need to look at it again. They rushed the field. I mean, going 1-11, 4-8, and then Baylor. It was crazy. And it's that game right there. So when Cam Newton said Shedeur had never had a memorable game, I was like, you telling on yourself, buddy, because you clearly didn't watch the Baylor game. And something about that game was like a throwback to something that happened when Cordell Stewart was the QB at Colorado. And apparently it was the same thing, a Hail Mary pass, etc. So history just repeated itself. And it is one of the most memorable. So for us tonight, it is the second best game for last year. It said no over all sister. Where's my cowboy hat? I'm gonna have to put it on. Oh, I forgot about that. This prime time, I gotta go put on Coach Prime. I got a hat. All right. Thank you for that reminder, Kiel. All right. It said exposing the truth. Do you believe Travis can handle the pressure as an NFL player? Yes. I believe so. Travis, I'm not gonna say he's a football savant, but it's so ingrained in him because he played it so much. That's why he knew exactly what to do in that Baylor game. If you had put another player where Travis was, they wouldn't have done the same thing. Travis knew exactly what to do to knock that ball out. And that comes from what? Hours and thousands of hours of playing football. And even if he had never done it before, he's probably played a scenario close to it or watched enough football that he knew what to do. I promise you, another player wouldn't have done it that way. They wouldn't have even thought to go underneath and jostle the ball loose. When I tell you the guy who was carrying the ball had no idea what was happening. And he knew that he could leap across, but he never thought in his mind that somebody gonna knock this ball from underneath me. He never thought it. And then they were trying to figure out what was it that jostled it. They thought it was Travis' shoulder pad. Then it turned out to be his helmet. And it really didn't matter. It was all about when it happened. And it was before the goal line. That guy, I saw his reaction. They were like looking like, oh my God, they couldn't believe it. They got outplayed. That's what it was. And that came from the offensive coordinator allowing, and the defensive coordinator too, allowing some latitude to the players. You could hear where the DC is basically at times have been said that he would ask Travis, what do you see out there? that's also the way Pat Shermer was. But because people hate on Shedeur so much, they tried to say Shedeur was calling his own plays. No, what it was is Pat Shermer and Doc Livingston have the philosophy, I'm not on the field. These guys can tell you what they see. And that's why you saw Travis and Shedeur and them and other guys talking so much, because they basically could anticipate what was getting ready to happen, which is one of Shedeur's strengths and obviously one of Travis's strengths. So that Baylor game goes down in memory. It's true that Travis had really good games along the way, and it's hard to rank which one was his best, but he clinched the Heisman with the Oklahoma State game, without a doubt. And I don't know if there's ever going to be another duo like those two. It could be. It could be, but it's going to be hard to replace both of them because they both have such football IQ and chemistry because they played together at Jackson State. Jackson State obviously means more now when you start to look back and realize that that's where the dynamic duo was born. That's why Shedeur knew, if I can't get this ball over here, I know I can get it to Travis. I know he going to catch it. And then LeJounte became that guy. We knew LeJounte was an end zone magnet. We knew if LeJounte got that ball with inside of 20 yards, he getting to that end zone. I watched him do it several times today. And then we watched Will Sheppard struggle. We watched him struggle, but he got it. And the thing about Will Sheppard is his form. His form, and when he catching the ball, it almost looks like art. You know, I heard the announcer say they describe him as long and lanky, and it is true. And he's definitely getting drafted. DGD. Definitely getting drafted is Will Sheppard. You cannot not draft him. And I don't know what it was at first. It could have been because he was new and it took him a minute to get it. But that's a testament to Shedeur because he actually talked about it. He said, okay, you got to catch this one. He kept throwing it to him. He didn't give up on it. But he was serious though. It's not like he just kept throwing it to him without a reminder. Hey, you gonna have to catch this ball, and he caught it. It's like once the pressure was just on, it's just like it was do or die, and he got it. And then after that, he was good from there on out. Even LeJounte talked about the Baylor game and to where he missed the ball, so he felt like the ball he caught on the ground. Talk about technique, also for playing outside and knowing how to catch a ball, not allowing that ball to touch the ground, because they could have called that back, but he didn't even give them the opportunity to, because he was so thorough in the way he caught the ball. So LeJounte talks about how he actually missed the ball earlier in the game, so he was happy to get that one. So, and then Jimmy Horn Jr., his season got cut short, but Jimmy Horn Jr. has gears. That's another person. Watching him play is like art. If he and Will Sheppard ended up on the same, if Will Sheppard and Jimmy Horn Jr. lined up as what they say, X and a Y or Y and a Z or something like that, left and right, receivers for any team, they gonna win. Those two, they so graceful with it. And people say Jimmy Horn Jr. got an extra gear that kicks in. Clearly, I mean, to see him run, it's just like, it's going to be exciting. It's going to be exciting for whatever team they play. And if they spread out and they're on different teams, that's cool too, because why are they going to line up against each other? They'll line up against each other. So it was thrown to Will. Yep. And then he went. And that's the thing about Shedeur. He doesn't give up on his receivers, but then he also know when, okay, you're going to have to catch it or I'm going to have to move on. So, and they talked about that in a press conference. So exposing the truth. If Travis gets his personal life in order, then it's going to be his true test. Yeah, and maybe he will. Maybe it's going to take him to lose at his career for him to put his foot down. It's going to take him to lose something that means a lot to him for him to put his foot down, because that's ultimately what it is. When you don't have any boundaries and then people keep crossing them and crossing them, believe me, there are some things that are so sacred to you that you like, you know what, I'm out. I can't do this no more. And that's what it's going to take. It's going to take him to realize, okay, I really want to make it to the league. I can't allow you to talk me out of it or put me in a position where, my reputation could be ruined. Because there are guys in the league, they have issues, and then eventually they kind of begin to fade away. I mean, I would never say he's like a Ray Rice, but everybody, I watched that documentary. Everybody talks about how that guy didn't exhibit. Everybody liked that guy. And I'm like, you can like a person, but you don't ever know what's going on at home. So, just because, a person is good on the field, you don't know what's going on at home, and we talked about that with Draymond Green. Is it, believable that if a person is abusive at home, that, those issues carry on at work or vice versa. You know what I'm saying? So hopefully he get it together and don't end up in a Xavier Worthy situation that makes him snap. That is a concern with somebody who's not experienced and has obviously never been severely betrayed by a partner. Because if you have the first time, you kind of the second time know to go the other way. So inexperience is always the best teacher. So we just have to keep praying and hope for the best. It says, Nia says, yes, those students went crazy for real. Oh, after the Baylor game, it was a throwback to some of the same plays. Beautiful story. Yeah, I think it was Cordell Stewart was the QB at the time. It says, sounds like Baylor should have been the best game. You know what? You would think, that's why I said Baylor is the most memorable, but UCF hands down was the best game. It was the most complete game. It was, and then we like BTA them, and they thought we were going to lose that game. Baylor was a close game, but we annihilated UCF. They had UCF defeating us and being at the top of the conference. After we beat them, they just slid all the way to the bottom. I think they might have been fighting Oklahoma State for last, I think. I'm not sure, but they didn't do well, and then they benched their QB. And I think they were really upset with that young man because he was actually complimenting Shedeur. And I'm like, they benched him for a freshman? Man. So it is what it is. It is what it is. All right. So let's get back. Let's see. We are an hour. Are we an hour in? No, that can't be right. Yes, we are. Wow. We're an hour in. Time flies when you're having fun. All right. So we made it to what? The second best game was Baylor. Okay. What's the third best game? So that means that we already did 4, then we're getting ready to do 3. So that's 7. We can finish part 2 tomorrow, and then we could do, what did I say on third day? We could do trivia, but you got to go back and watch the game to be able to answer some of the questions. All right. So what was the absolute third best game? All right. This is who's left. Texas Tech, North Dakota State, Cincinnati, Arizona, Utah. Yeah. Okay. I think it's Texas Tech. I think it's Texas Tech for the antics alone. And Coach Prime having to go ham on the ref, having to stand up and protect the school, which is what he did. Because they was tripping. They was tripping. And I don't even know why Texas Tech just can't get balloons and release them in the air like Nebraska. That was a beautiful celebration, a tradition at Nebraska. You saw all the red balloons, and then when they scored their first touchdown, they let them go in the air. Why is it Texas Tech has to throw food waste onto the playing surface? Like, I don't understand that. Get you some balloons, dear Texas Tech. Get some balloons. Y'all, you got to do better. When you know better, do better. And you know Nebraska is not throwing food down. They got a beautiful tradition. Just go ahead and copy it. It'll be all right. It'll be all right. I think Colorado should do something like that. Just get a bunch of black and gold balloons, and when we score the first score, whatever it is, field goal, touchdown, whatever, interception or a touchdown, that we let go some balloons. I think that would be pretty in the mountains, but I don't go there. So Nia says, sis, I think you may have a point with this Travis personal story. Ray Rice is a good guy in Baltimore. We wondered who was really the abuser. The spit in your face one, and were they both just young? Sometimes, I'm gonna tell you how it worked in Georgia. Okay, if they lived in Georgia and that happened, they both would have went to jail, because that's how it goes in Georgia. If the police have to come out, you both going, and the kid going to DCF or whatever they call it, the version of Children's Protective Services. So, and the reason they do that in Georgia is because they don't have time on the scene to figure out who hit who. But y'all both ran with it. You both went with the scenario. So they like, we'll figure this out later. And that's what they do to de-escalate the situation. I think the problem with that scenario, and there's 3 couples that have been caught in elevators. So it's a lot happening in elevators. We just don't know about it. And I don't know how these things get out. I guess people watching the elevator like, oh, wow, did you see this? And they sell the story, I guess. My thing is, I think he hit her and dragged her out the elevator. He didn't show any remorse. It looked like an everyday scenario. And I think the NFL hands were kind of tied because somewhere along the line, when Tyreek Hill was in Kansas, I can't figure out who happened first. There was a scenario with a pregnant person, woman or something like that, which is, they had to somehow intervene. And I think the NFL just had to kind of put their foot down when it came to domestic violence. And because the optics were so bad. And like I said, I think he just drug her out the elevator and it was just like a normal Tuesday. And it just wasn't a good situation. And some people say she had been drinking this, that, and the other. And, it's just one of those things you have to distance yourself from it. You don't have time to try to figure out who was wrong. You just know that, okay, even if she said something to you, that wasn't warranted. And that's what they had to do. I think when it comes to NFL scandals, that's listed as one of the worst scandals in the NFL. I was like, I didn't think that was a scandal, but they consider that a scandal. There's some other scandals out there too, but that's one of the worst scandals in the NFL. It said, and thank you for that, Nia. It said, Jackie Chu, I wish everyone can watch Travis talking to Anquan Boken. He was like a sponge. Yeah, I say he's a football savant. That's just my term. I don't even know if that's a thing. He loves the sport, and it's true. Travis's personality is he can flip a switch. You can see it. He can flip a switch. I've seen him do it, and that's not a bad thing. That's a survival tactic. And if you've never been in a situation where you've been traumatized and you instantly got to get yourself together, either because people don't know or because you don't want people to know, that's where that switch comes from, trauma. And I wouldn't doubt that he's experienced some kind of trauma. But see, here's the danger in that. All right. Holding on too long. When you hold on too long, you lose a lot. And you lose more within than you lose material things. You could end up feeling shameful. You could try to take your life. You could live the rest of your life trying to, I don't know, be in a position where you're like ashamed of yourself. It's like, I held on too long. I should have did this. You can't live your life like that. You got to accept what happened and you got to move on. But that comes from either people teaching you to do that or you going through it so many times, you got to figure it out. See, that's what you don't want. But then sometimes, I had to tell myself, I think he just might need to get married and go through this. Because honestly, if this didn't work out, he would go get somebody else and be the same person. He wouldn't, I don't think he would. The way he seems to take in information, he would either internalize it and go try to be better with the next person and find the exact same person and think that he's the problem. Or he just have a knee-jerk reaction and, okay, I realize it was her, but then I'm going to go with the next person and I'm still not going to have no boundaries. And maybe her personality will be better. See, that's why I think this kind of has to happen. One thing I've noticed about the NFL, they seem to think that talent solves everything. He's talented. He's going to be this, that, and the other. He's talented. He'll be successful. Oh, okay. Because understand the personal life matters. Understand the personal life matters. And listening to Terry Crews talk about how he had to find Jesus. Yeah, he did. But who else said that? Coach Prime. And that's Travis's mentor, whether he accepts it or not. That's who God put before him to learn from on and off the field. Travis didn't expect the off the field lesson. He was only wanting the on the field lesson. But sometimes we get a blessing. When we want something, we get it. There's a blessing that comes with it. And that's the blessing. holding on too long because you know how to survive in traumatic situations could cost you your life. And it could cost you, I guess, like your, I don't know, your like your self-worth. You could be so down on yourself and so ashamed that you never come back up. So that's the danger in him having survival tactics, that switch, because he know how to turn it on and off, but that don't mean he dealing with his problem. You know what I mean? So that's the danger. But it's one of those things that have to help him, and I still keep him in my prayers. So, but I think it's gonna happen, y'all. I hate to tell you, I think it's gonna happen because I feel like they put, by moving her out the way, it clears the path for him to go. But she's still right there, and they ain't deal with their problems unless they're going to therapy, and maybe she healed from whatever was ailing her. It's possible. It's possible. So it says, yes, the look was horrible with her being out cold and dragged. Yeah. So, oh, I'm funny. I mean, yeah, that's why I think they had to walk away. Okay, had it been a situation where he assaulted her and he was like, oh my God, I'm sorry, this, that, and the other, then, maybe they would have been a little bit like, we got to do this. We got to put you out for a year. But dragging her like it was just Tuesday, that means that happened before. Same thing with Travis' situation. When he grabbed her clothes, he knew she was getting ready to have a meltdown. And her brother came down the stairs and proceeded to walk on the field like he saw nothing because he sees it all the time. That was very telling. I'm like, he didn't even care about it. And that's his sister. Because he wanted to be in the limelight on the field. And plus, he's seen it before. That's why he wasn't shocked by it. So, what are we talking about? The third best, the third best game. Okay, I think we said it was Texas Tech. I think we're going to say it's Texas. Okay, we're going to stop here for tonight. I'm going to keep my list. I'm going to make it into like a slide. And then tomorrow, we'll go from 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Is that right? Because we have the 4 worst games. Now we have the 3 best games. 4 and 3 is 7. Okay, so we still have 6 games to discuss. So we'll discuss 6 games tomorrow. We'll rank the 6 tomorrow. And then we'll go to day 3, which will be trivia surrounding the 2024 season. And if we have time after Pro Day, we'll just do 2023 season 2. But that's going to hurt. That's going to hurt. And I'm probably going to talk about Oregon for like an hour straight. Oh, I don't know if anybody saw. Wait, did y'all see today? Okay, so y'all know that we didn't get the spring game because the NCAA blocked it, right? So, different people were talking about it. And one podcast, who actually like DNVR, out of Denver, for obvious reasons, Denver, that's Denver Sports or something, DNVR Sports. Their headline today said, would the NCAA have approved the competitive spring game if Dan Lanning requested it? Now, we already talked about it. If somebody else, like the coach from Oklahoma or somebody that wasn't African-American, we don't have to be shy. If somebody that was not African-American asked, we said we felt like they would have granted it because the coach at Oklahoma State said that they had the idea. And what we said here yesterday was, chances are if they asked, then they would have got it. So I just thought it was kind of interesting that they were trying to tackle the topic, which I applaud, because they're not majority, Black. So I applaud DNVR for actually tackling the issue. But the headline caught me because I knew what they were saying. If Dan Lanning had made the request, would they have done it? Dan Lanning is not in our conference. He's not in our conference. We didn't play him last year. And the only reason they probably said that is because Dan Lanning is white. So I just thought that was interesting. If they have another reason, let me know what it was. But I applaud them for tackling the issue because it's a problem. Honestly, I agree. Dan Lanning or Gundy or even the coach from Arizona State, if anybody else had made the ask, even the coach from Texas Tech that asked Coach Prime to play and scrimmage competitively, if he had made the request, they would have figured it out and monetized it immediately. So shout out to DNVR Sports. Okay, that's 18 of us in here. Okay, so part 2 is taking place tomorrow. We have 6 games left to rank, and they're all the best games. And it's going to be tough because who's left? North Dakota State, Arizona, Cincinnati. North Dakota State, Arizona, Cincinnati, Utah, and Oklahoma State, and somebody else. Who else is in there? Cincinnati. Oh, Texas Tech. No, I just named them. Texas Tech. So we got 6 left. All right. So, you say you like the Cincy game. Atlanta said you like the Cincy game. We came together on both sides. Okay, no, the Cincinnati game was good. I don't know if we were predicted to win that game or not, but it was a good game. It was a good game. Okay, so the third best game was Texas Tech. All right, so we will continue tomorrow. I hope y'all are having fun with this because this is actually fun. Something to do until we get to Pro Day. Third best, Texas Tech. All right, to be continued. All right, y'all. So we're gonna get out of here. We're gonna say good night. Let me make sure I didn't miss any comments. Yeah, I didn't miss any comments. Oh, don't forget, Jerry said he lived in Chattanooga. Jerry, if you still on here, don't forget, I'm gonna need some info. I'm gonna need some info. If I'm still east of the Mississippi River, I'm gonna need some information for the month of May. I think you know what I'm talking about. I should have just called up Travis and asked for an invitation. That's what I should have did. But not that would have happened. But I'm just saying. You never know. But you know, I wish him all the best. All right, y'all. So this was fun. I will see y'all tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern. You might want to just go ahead on and set your TV to Colorado highlights from 2024 so y'all can start just kind of like absorbing and being reminded of some things, because I will be asking what was Travis Hunter's I don't know, some game. He all over the place. He all over the place. Probably like when was DJ McKinney's first interception? Stuff like that. So y'all gonna have to pay attention to stuff like that. Boots on the ground. I need a fan. Boots on the ground. What you talking about, Queen T? All right, I'm gonna play some music to get us out of here. Thank y'all so much. Don't forget to hit the like button. It's 18 of us in here. Awesome. Please let there be 18 likes. Okay, Queen T, what was Boots on the ground? Good night, y'all. I'm just staying here until the music, goes off or whatever. I'm trying to understand what Queen T was discussing. And y'all, thank y'all so much for helping to make What She Said a wonderful podcast community. We actually have a community. I think YouTube was like, you have some very loyal people that come back all the time. I'm like, yes, I do. And for that, I am so grateful. Thank y'all so much. Boots on the ground. Nia, your comment was blank. What was it? Queen T, boots on the ground.
Don't be stingy now. Join the movement. Let's show them how.
See y'all tomorrow.
What She Said. We bring the vibes. Together we rose. Reaching higher and higher.
Okay, Queen T. Okay. All right. I got it. Boots on the ground. Yeah, Jerry live in Tennessee.
From hoops to the griddle, we cover it all. Champions rise and together we never fall. Join the fam, we celebrate every win. What She Said, let's meet where the passion begins. Hit that light, don't be stingy now. Join the movement, let's show them how. What She Said, we bring the vibes. Together we rose, reaching higher and higher. Welcome aboard, let's make it loud. What She Said, with our